Vande Gurunam Charanarvindam Sandarchidasvatmasukam Budinam Janasya Yesham Kuligayamanam Samsara Hala Halamoga Shanti. Namaskaram. Miracles. We will try to ponder on what are miracles today a little bit. See, a man takes his car and speeding towards his destination, and suddenly the car's engine fails and the car comes to a halt. And what does he do now? He gets out of the car, look around to find someone who would be able to fix the bug. And ultimately finds a mechanic in the nearby place. The mechanic comes and he lifts the hood of the car, fiddles with some wires here and there, and all of a sudden the engine comes back to life. While the mechanic was attending to this, the driver's child, which also got out from the car and standing with the father, was looking with awe and wonder and astonishment, with widely opened eyes, because for the child, the whole process of bringing the car back to life is a miracle. Just fiddling with some wires and with some bolts and nuts, the child, which is not aware of all these things, it's so ignorant. So it thinks it's a miracle. And for the child, the mechanic is a Superman. Naturally. Such episodes we can see so much happening in our life, in daily life. And with a little bit of pondering, we are led to see what is a miracle. What do you think miracles are after all? In my opinion, they are all very simple. We think that it is miracle and it is something super heroic thing because of our lack of understanding regarding the various dimensions and planes of consciousness that exist, and that ignorance make one see such happenings around as miracles. In the child's reality, fiddling with a few wires and a couple of spanner and other things and bringing back the car to life is something very astonishing factor. The same way in life, when we see certain things like that, we think they are all miracles. So, what happens in the child's mind because of ignorance happens even to adults, educated people, and even many religious bound people also, to think how these things happen as miracles. Now, closely follow me. A bug or an insect, small insect is there, and that insect is aware of only two dimensions, that is length and width. Now this insect thinks that it is very safe when these two dimensions are closed from outside interference. Now we lock our doors in our room, and even we put the padlocks, and even we put locks, put a key and lock, put a small iron strip to make the safety little more tighter. Like that, this insect, which is aware of only the two dimensions of length and width, when these two things are closed from outside interference, it thinks that it is fully safe. Naturally. And correct, when we lock our house on the front and the back, and then put lock, we feel we are secure. So the insect also feels a sense of security as it perceives it. Because on both the sides, as it knows, the outside interference is closed. So it feels I am safe now. Now, this box is in a corner of a house, and the owner of the box comes, opens the lid, and puts his hand inside. Suppose he sees the insect. That's the end of the insect's story, because it will be killed. Or maybe even with a slight movement that happens on the lid of the box, the insect moves to another corner to escape, and it thinks that it hides itself from the outside interference, thinking that it would be safe in the other corner. And all the while, it doesn't know or have an understanding how this could happen at all. I am secure. The length is secured. The width is secured. How come? Oh, it's a miracle. And the insect is not seen by the owner of the box. Instead, he puts something now inside the box, which is visible to the insect on the width and length dimensions. What a miracle! From nowhere something has come here. What a miracle! It's a big miracle to the insect, because it is aware of only the two dimensions. Right? Now, human species are generally aware of only three dimensions. See, dogs are aware of some subtler dimensions. Humans are conscious of only generally three dimensions: length, width, and height. So, we find when the doors are locked, we feel we are secure. There are generally the elders and wise people say the next and the fourth dimension is time, and the fifth dimension is space, and so on and so on and so forth. In reality, there are multiples and multiples of dimensions in different frequencies. And miracles are simply the manipulation of reality in different dimensions and planes of consciousness. A miracle is the ability to make objects manifest in the physical plane from other planes. As we grow older and become conditioned to living in the shortened sphere of our consciousness, we lose our inherent faculties that allows us to know much subtler and finer things. See, in reality, the gadgets which we have, the technological improvement, development, as we think, even this WhatsApp and this data, etc., television, all these things See, these are only a figment of the real potentialities of the human species. These are all only a part of the human mind which has brought out. In fact, all the gadgets of these telecommunications as computers, the internet are only a physical manifestation of the latent potentialities in human species. But we forget that these things are inside us and we can develop and easily communicate and convey. The truth is, what we experience and that happens in the physical world is only a shadow or a faint shadow of our true capacity. We can be helped only through the kind help of kind souls, higher souls, which comes down into this planet with the sole motivation of helping people to understand things. And once we understand these things, not only the subject what is as miracle will be understood, but we can understood much and more, like clairvoyance, clairaudience, seeing something in a distant place, and hearing what happened long back or what is likely to happen in the future. You can travel either way. See, these are all not fiction. These are all absolute truth. If you want to hear what a particular rishi talked to his students, you can travel. If you know how to catch that frequency and travel, you can hear that. You can see. These things also can be explained. They are all not miracles. But we have no time for that. We have time only, we had this, see, we had this, our ancients have said that and put it in WhatsApp, Facebook or something, forward it and there ends it. We don't make an attempt to know, learn, practice subtler things, finer things, which are more truthful. That is the sad reality. And these things can be very well explained by simple logic. How you can see a distant, what is happening at a distant place and what has happened about 80 Chaturyugas before. See, when you listen to this, you people may think, what is this? Just can't believe it. Yes, just can't believe it. Because we are so far away from our true self and our true status, where we have all kinds of potentialities and where we are present everywhere. And again, whatever I try to communicate, we come back to this, of our true state of what we are. But we never care to accept it. We listen, we read, but we don't put it into effective practice and sustenance. When that is there, all these things become just a... see, again, we have to go back to the... Abhyasa and Vairagya. Abhyasa is continuous practice. Again, when we go back to one of our old analogies, we want to learn typewriting. So we go to a typewriting institute and the master tells us, come on, the first key is, nowadays one finger typing has come because of the computer keyboard. But even today people go and learn properly typewriting, and when you go to the typewriting institute, the master tells you to sit down in front of the typewriter and makes you to type first AAS, DES, TAS, DF, GF and whatnot. And then you will just keep on practicing that AAS, and initially, you may not evince any keen interest on that. But after a couple of days, it becomes very easy. And after a couple of weeks, about 3 weeks or 4 weeks, you will be able to type A, B, C, D to Z. And then you will have to type from Z to A. And then small words. And then small paragraphs. And then over a period of time, it becomes a part of you. And then because it was inherent in you, and when it becomes a part of you, even while you are talking or eating or doing anything, you will be able to type. The same way, when we make our attention focused on what we are truly always, it's a little bit of practice. And then when we enter and stay put and sustain staying in that state, all these miracles, clairaudience, clairvoyance, all these things become just nothing. I wish this has thrown a bit of light into what we think not possible have become true. And what is said in our Puranas, in scriptures, are true. And you all may think when these talks are heard, somehow I am driving around or swinging around Vedantic thoughts. It's not just Vedantic thoughts. From here we will be moving on to how the Nama Sankirtanam, Nama chanting, Japa and all these things lead us to these states. So we will go slowly on to all these things, and maybe in another small talk we will try to ponder on how it is possible that we can see things at a distant place, and how we can see what has happened long back, and how we can kind of know what is likely to happen also, and how we can hear what was said long back. Because these, what I speak now, are also stored in the ether, in the Chitakash. If one can put oneself in such a frequency to catch that, it's very simple. We will try to talk a little bit on that in another short talk. So hopefully this throws a bit of light and inquisitiveness into all to learn more subtler and finer truths of life. You see, we saw in these miracles in the beginning about when we tried to ponder into what is miracles, we saw that the bug or the insect which is aware of only 2 dimensions of length and width feels safe, and since it doesn't have an idea of the other dimensions, when somebody acts from a different dimension, it appears as mysterious or astonishing or miracle-like thing for the 2-dimensional creatures. So, like that, human beings are basically aware of 3 dimensions only. So, when things happen through someone who are aware of and who can handle multi-dimensions. When such things happen, the three-dimensional species of human beings feel and think that it is something great. It is something very successful. How miraculous it is. But the reality is, it is being done by people who are conversant with, aware of it, and who can handle the multi-dimensions. So, God is infinite dimensions. God is nothing but infinite dimensions. He can manifest anything at any time, because none other than God Himself has access and awareness of this infinitesimal dimensions. I was just trying to get that word, infinitesimal dimensions. So, what we can do is to get in line with, get in communication with, which we spoke about in how to talk to God or communicating with God. There is an episode available. The right way of communicating to God. And the same thing will take us to constant remembrance of God. We will have a talk on constant remembrance of God little while later. So, when you establish a connection with the infinitesimal dimensions capable God, we will know that it is very simple and easy for the God consciousness, whereas it is miraculous for us. In the same way, this distant hearing, distant vision, etc. can be explained logically, though one has to practice, and it is quite possible to listen, hear, see and tell people. There is always a point where one is neither this nor that. That is why God is said as Aanallan, Pennallan, Matrathu Aliyamallan. So in this way we will try to see about more esoteric things in a very simple manner, as and when time permits, and which will throw more light into our mind and help us to move ultimately towards constant remembrance of the Divine. Hare Krishna.